I got this flashlight off eBay. It's advertised as a XML T6 bulb from CREE, and that's not what's in it, and I'll show you why in a minute. But it is a very nice light. It did have multiple functions, one high and two others that were a little bit dimmer, and a flash and a flash of SOS. And it fell out of my pocket today on the ground and quit working. After taking it apart, I discovered one of the components, which is a choke on the circuit board, had fell off, and it was soldered underneath. So I couldn't solder it back in, so I did away with it. Now it only has an on and off. This is how I found out it was not a CREE bulb. Did some testing. Tested the current on the bulb. At 3.16 volts, it only pulled 0.47 amp. Whereas the specs on a CREE, and here's the paper on that, data sheet. The specs on a CREE at 1.3 volts, it should be pulling 1.5 amp. At 3.35 volts, it should be pulling 3 amp. Well, at 3.7, it's still only pulling 1.2. And at 3.9, it was still only pulling 1.6. It should have been pulling twice that, or over twice that. Now this CREE bulb is 1,000 lumens. This one is advertised at 2,000 lumens, and I'm kind of doubting it is. I wish I had a light meter so I could actually test it and see what it really is. But still, I'm happy with it, even though it broke. After I broke it, I had to move the spring from this end to this end, because when I tried to pull the board off, it pulled the spring off. I could not solder it back. So I just expanded it out, stretched this out to where it was large enough to fit on here, and put it there instead. I also did away with having to use 2 batteries, and it come with 2 batteries. Because I've done away with that circuit board, I'll no longer need 2 batteries. But 1 battery would not, touch both ends at the same time. So what I did was I made a spacer to put in, and I had to make it slightly longer than the battery because the spring was now on the other end, shortening it slightly. So now I can put my spacer in and put in 1 battery, and it lines up just fine. Or I can run it off of AA batteries. And since my AA batteries are much shorter than these lithium batteries, and these are lithium batteries, 3.7 volt. Fully charged, I tested them at 3.9. So I had to make a little spacer here, because this is now this long. I had to make those the same length. Well, I can run it off of AA batteries if I like. The AA batteries are not as bright. They come out to between 3.1 3.2 volts, where this is, it says 3.7, it can be up to 3.9. So that is still going to be brighter, but with AA batteries, the bulb's going to last longer. So to get this apart, what I did was unscrew here. Of course, take this off. And I had to drill these out just slightly bigger so I could get a needle nose pliers in there and turn. As you get it started, it'll turn pretty easy. Now if you got small pliers, small needle nose, or something else you can pry in here, you can pop this off and you can pull this out. Now originally the spring was right here. If you got a small screwdriver, you can put it in. I'm going to use a nail. If this was a CREE bulb, it would be marked as so. This one has no markings other than the plus, minus, and a LB. There's no one on the back. And this was the circuit board. Work off most of the components. And to fix this back, basically what I did was I took a meter from here, checking around different points until I found 0 ohms, which happened to be that one for the plus, and then from here on the edge do the same thing, which happened to be right there for minus. That just happened to be where I found to connect it. I'll put this back in. I'll put this on this side. Fix the little dents I made. Basically break them off. Put my wires here. You see that doesn't sit in the center. It didn't come in the center when I got it either. What you can do is turn it over to the other side, pry it over a little bit without tightening it. Get it in the center and then push this down tight. I still don't have it quite in the center. Move it just a little bit more. And take this, put it back on, and you can see I've got little dents around the edges where I've pushed it down before. I'll do the same thing again, push it down on the edges. Take the back, just push it in. It does not stay tight. Now this will come apart. This should be painted silver on the inside to reflect, but for some reason they decided to paint it black to absorb the light. I think I'll fix that later. Put that back in. Get it lined up. Screw it back in. Helps if you have a slightly smaller tip on your needle nose pliers. The nail works good too after you get it started. Put it back together. Put that back in. Put these back together. And back to working. Yes, this is not what it was advertised to be, but it's still a pretty good flashlight.